Well, interesting turn of events. Did you know there was a movie called The Hunt for Ben Solo? Right? This was a Star Wars movie. Apparently this was the first Star Wars movie to be cancelled that had been fully greenlit. Or something along those lines, anyway. Which, when this came out, I was like, well, that's quite revealing, isn't it? Because that shows that all the other movies that have been announced were actually never fully greenlit. Right? Like everything that's just been announced and cancelled, they were never greenlit. So I thought that was interesting, but we've not really heard that much more information about The Hunt for Ben Solo. A bunch of people online were not really happy about it, and happy that it got cancelled. But that was kind of it. But now we've got Steven Soderbergh coming out and basically saying, yeah, Disney's insane. They are insane for scrapping Ben Solo, Star Wars movie. Apparently he wasted 2.5 years. 2.5 years of his life on The Hunt for Ben Solo. And they just axed it. Mad. So he's come out and he's very, very angry, of course, with Disney, which is, again, that's just interesting in and unto itself, because that's him cutting ties with Disney, right? Like, being openly frustrated and openly combative with the company. That's quite unusual. That's very unusual. Lots of unusual and interesting things surrounding this story. So I thought it was genuinely worthwhile covering, just for that matter. And this is a little bit old. It's like 2 days old. You may have heard other people's takes on this, but maybe you haven't heard them come at it from that angle. Maybe. So stay tuned, I guess, if I'm saying new stuff. So, as this article notes, this is on The Hollywood Reporter. And it just says, ever since Adam Driver let slip, probably on purpose, by the way, in October, that Disney axed a planned Star Wars movie centering on his character, Ben Solo, fans of the franchise, not a lot of them, but some, have been rather upset that the studio didn't greenlight the project. Well, that's the thing, they did. They did greenlight it. They were paying for it. It would have cost a lot of money. Steven Soderbergh spent 2.5 years on it. Nearly 3 years is his quote. So, they did greenlight it. They did greenlight it. That's the funny thing. Obviously, not fully. It got, cancelled at the last minute. But it was greenlit. They were paying for it to be worked on. But as it says this, nobody can possibly be as frustrated as director Steven Soderbergh, who says he wasted nearly 3 years working on the script for The Hunt for Ben Solo, which Driver called one of the coolest scripts I had ever been a part of. So he loved it. Adam Driver loved it. In a new interview, Soderbergh was asked about outgoing Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy calling the script great last month. Driver had previously said that while Lucasfilm loved their take, Disney CEO Bob Iger and co-chairman Alan Bergman rejected the project. So when he calls, when he's calling Disney insane, he's actually calling Bob Iger insane, because it was Bob Iger that cancelled, and Alan Bergman, of course. So said this, quote, "It was no surprise that Kennedy was frustrated," Soderbergh said in an interview with BK Mag. "We were all frustrated. That was 2.5 years of free work for me." It's not completely free. It won't be completely free. For me and Adam and writer Rebecca Blunt. When Adam and I discussed him talking about it publicly, I said, look, do not editorialise or speculate about the why. Just say what happened. Because all we know is what happened. The stated reason was, we don't think Ben Solo could be alive. Yeah, in a movie where the Emperor came back to life. Fuck, you're mental. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't care about this movie. I didn't want him to come back. But that is still mental. Fundamentally shows that these people don't understand the movie that they made. Or have made. And the property that they work on. And that was all we were told. And so, there's nothing to do about it. Except move on. Mad. Now, I know some people would probably be like, oh, but he said they worked for free. No, they would have got some money. That's just kind of how it works, really. It's unlikely that they wouldn't have got anything. Adam Driver probably didn't get anything, but writers and stuff, yeah, like spec scripts and things, maybe. Unless it was genuinely just for their own benefit, then maybe they were doing it for free. But then don't be so annoyed, because you know it wasn't greenlit at that point. So Soderbergh continued and says, I kind of made the movie in my head and just felt bad that nobody else was going to get to see it. I thought the conversation was strictly going to be a practical one. Where they go? What is this going to cost? And I had a really good answer for that. But it never even got to that point. It's insane. We're all very disappointed. I mean, mad, right? Mad. And as this article notes, to be clear, Soderbergh and anybody else contracted to develop a Star Wars film, and they even say here, get paid a fee to work on the script. So the work almost certainly wasn't entirely free. And this is what I thought. This is also really quite interesting, is that a Hollywood Reporter is running damage control for Disney here. They don't normally do stuff like this. They don't normally go in and go, oh, fact check. That's quite unusual. There's so many unusual things about this that make it very, very interesting to cover. So as they say, it almost wasn't certainly entirely free, which is what I said. I don't think it was free, but okay. But that number is presumably far less than what Soderbergh would have received had the project been greenlit and he directed the film, which is true. They would have got a lot of money. Driver's Ben Solo character was killed at the end of 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. Again, in a movie where someone had come back to life, so he can come back to life. And certainly killing off a character is a valid reason to not make a sequel focused on that character. But it's also an issue one would think would be discussed before having Soderbergh and Driver spend years developing a script. Again, yeah. I mean, yeah. What? So, raising once again the question of, is Disney bad at Star Wars? Yeah, Disney is bad at Star Wars. Like, this stuff, it's just mental, isn't it? All of this is just absolutely mental. Mad stuff. I don't know if they got the comments on this one. Some of the comments are just comedy gold when you read it from the normies that frequent these websites. So, there you go, basically. Disney is insane, apparently. Not a massive amount of new information specifically, but him trying to claim he worked for free, that's not the case. 2.5 years on it is mad. A Hollywood Reporter kind of running a bit of damage control is weird. Loads of weird stuff. But there you go. I mean, Disney is bad at Star Wars. Yeah, Disney is bad at Star Wars. Hunt for Ben Solo kind of shows that, and just how they manage all of it. So there you go. I thought this was fun. So leave your thoughts down below.